Akira, 1988 anime film written and directed by Katsuhiro Otomo, who also wrote the manga that this was based on. It is widely considered to be one of the most influential and important animated movies of all time. Incredibly technically impressive in the time it was made and with the techniques used. And one of its scenes, nicknamed the Akira slide, where Kaneda slides sideways on his red motorbike, is actually the most referenced animated scene of all time. Sorry, being homaged and copied into all sorts of other works. I mean, numerous anime projects, but also Western stuff. It was repeated in Batman, it happened in Star Wars, and also live-action Hollywood movies like Nope. The story starts with a short exposition about how in 1988 what looks like a nuclear bomb goes off in Tokyo, starting World War III. We then jump into 2019. The city has been rebuilt into Neo-Tokyo, but is riddled with crime, poverty, gang wars, protests against economic inequality. The main characters of the story, Kaneda and Tetsuo, are members of a youth motorcycle gang, and early in the film they randomly run into an escaped test subject from a secret government facility. Tetsuo then starts to experience strange hallucinations and quickly develops stronger and stronger psychic powers, and as he's captured by the government, Kaneda vows to find and get his friend back. So I have seen this film once before, a decade or so ago, but now I had a chance to catch a 4K re-release screening in an actual movie theater. And let me tell you, it was a phenomenal experience. On a huge screen, you can really finally admire and realize just how incredibly beautiful and detailed the animation in this movie is. Fluid, crisp, full of details on every single shot. Wide theatrical aspect ratio, beautifully colored. Actually, the color palette contained a record number of individual colors at a time. But it's not just the visual aspects. I think the movie kicks ass with its themes and atmosphere and setting. It starts off as a fairly normal cyberpunk story, gangs, violence, near future, but the longer it goes on, the more it morphs into a crazy examination into the nature of power, of scientific research into acquiring and expanding that power, of what happens if terrible power falls into the wrong hands, and how it can also be used as a symbol for a revolutionary movement, even though there actually may be no connection between the two. The world of the movie feels rich and lived in, and I love how the film just throws you into it without ever explaining too much. And it moves at a breakneck speed. You have to keep up with who is who, what faction each character sort of belongs to, what is going on, because nobody is holding your hands. And part of that is a result of condensing 2,000 pages of manga, which at the time was, by the way, unfinished, into a 2-hour movie. And reportedly, the movie is basically just the start of the manga Akira and then the end of it, but all of the middle part is like incredibly condensed and in some ways even cut. So it as a result, it sometimes feel like you may be missing some information, but I think it's done in this wonderful way where it never prevents you from enjoying the film, and it just feels like there's a lot of background going on out there in the world of the story that you're not necessarily privy to, which again makes the world feel real and lived in. The characters are well defined and fun to follow. There are small touches of genuinely funny humor here and there, but there's also the crazy surrealist climax, which is excuse me, which is unforgettable when you see it once. It is just crazy in all the right ways. Great movie all around that was rightfully celebrated at the time, stayed influential across the decades, and remains just as relevant and beautiful today as it was almost 40 years ago. Fantastic stuff.